Hey everyone, I'm back and today we're going to be talking about Godzilla 1998, directed by Roland Emmerich, and this movie is very bad. The only real reason I watched this movie was because I was expecting it to at least be funny bad, and half of it was pretty funny, and the other half was pretty boring, but the stuff that I liked I really did like. Most of my enjoyment from this movie comes from the first act of the movie and the last act, and the second act I would say is the most boring. It's like so much is going on and nothing is happening, and they're trying to find Godzilla and they just keep losing him somehow. And I think the way they lose him is that he just goes underground or underwater somehow. It doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot about this movie that just does not make any sense, and the characters in this movie are very bland, and they all feel like the same character, honestly, because every character's dialogue is exactly the same, and they're all making jokes every second, and no one's taking anything seriously, and a lot of the acting is pretty bad, and it's just not very well handled. And the design of Godzilla is terrible. It's like the worst design I've ever seen for the character. It's just like, what is this? This is not Godzilla. This is like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And speaking of Jurassic Park, about half of this movie was ripping off Jurassic Park, and the other half was a ripoff of Jaws, and there's a touch of a ripoff of Aliens. It's trying to be all three of those things combined, and it fails at being all three because it just doesn't understand why those movies worked so well. And I'm going to talk about Jaws. There is a scene in this movie where Godzilla is underwater and he's like pulling three ships back. And, you know, in Jaws, they shoot the shark with like a bear. A thing that is attached to a barrel, and that's how they track him, and they know where he is at all times. And in this movie, something similar does happen when the shark goes underwater in Jaws. In this movie, Godzilla is like pulling these boats down to the point where like he sinks all three of them, and it's just so ridiculous how it's presented. And I'm like, you really just don't understand why that worked in Jaws. It's so poorly handled. And Jurassic Park, the chase scene at the end reminded me of the T-Rex chasing in Jurassic Park when they're like driving away from the T-Rex. And it's just not well handled at all. It's kind of dull and boring, and the only parts I enjoyed about it were the parts that were unintentionally funny, and when Godzilla was roaring and eventually something would catch on fire and it would be this big explosion of fire that would go into someone's face. It was that was so funny to me. I also forgot to mention that the special effects in this movie are pretty bad. Nothing feels real. It just feels like it was made in a computer, and it's not nearly as good as Jurassic Park or even the Lost World Jurassic Park. And speaking of the Lost World, I know a lot of people have brought this up, but in that movie, there's a scene at the end where we have a T-Rex going around the city. It's pretty much like Godzilla, but with a T-Rex. And that scene alone is better than the entirety of this movie. And I can't say I disagree with that. I would also like to mention a couple things about the characters. One thing is that every character in this movie is cracking jokes in every scene, and none of it landed for me. It was all very flat. And there's plenty of moments in this movie where the movie is really trying to make you care about these characters and make you feel like, aw, I always would have wanted to see these characters get together. But in reality, you just don't care because there's nothing to like about them. And our main character's ex-girlfriend, she left him after he asked her to marry her. And she just went to New York because she just wanted to pursue her dreams and becoming a news reporter and make herself feel as though she's capable of doing things, I think. I might be misremembering things, but I think that was the reason. And all I'm thinking to myself is, why do I care? I also didn't like the music in this movie. I just thought it was really bland and generic, and it just didn't help the movie at all. I also found it pretty funny that the military is causing more damage than Godzilla. that was amusing. And it's probably the only intentional joke that worked for me, if that was even intentional. And that's about all I have to say about Godzilla in 1998. It's bad, but I find it entertaining. Well, half of it at least. And I don't even want to talk about the stuff that I find to be hilariously bad, because I think it would be better if you would just experience it for yourself. And I would say this movie is pretty funny. It's kind of boring, but the parts that I enjoyed are really, really funny. It had me laughing out loud. And go check this movie out if you like funny bad movies. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Godzilla 1998 a 3 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Godzilla in 1998 down below. And my social media links, they will all be in the description down below, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Casino Royale. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.